Hey there, John Gums, Dakota Grappler, going live here. Looks a little dark in the background, but I'm trying to do a couple different things here so that you can see my screen well. Today is what you will call the Dakota Grappler rankings class for Class B ranking class. Now, I am going to be going back and forth from screens. So as you watch this, it might look kind of goofy to start because I have got to share my screens and stuff. And when I do that, you should be able to see my spreadsheets and how I start doing this. So what I'm going to do, just be patient for a couple seconds. I'm going to share my screen and you're going to see kind of a couple doubling until I then blank it over to this other side. So we'll see how it goes. Doesn't look like my connection's very good. I'm kind of jerky here. Got lots of things going on, I guess. But we'll see how this goes. So be patient for a second. I am going to flip over to my other screen, what I'm sharing, and then I have to then minimize it so you can see my spreadsheet because it can't be on the same screen for some reason. Okay, so I'm adding my screen to this, and then as I remove my screen and minimize, then what you're going to see is my spreadsheet. Now I'll talk about that. Okay. So what you see now is my North Dakota Wrestling rankings #1 with weights. So this is kind of interesting on how it goes. What I did here, and that's what you see here on my full screen, this is a spreadsheet of all the North Dakota wrestlers in Class B that have wrestled at least the last varsity matches for their teams. And I'll explain exactly what's going on here. And I'll increase the size so you can see different things. And then I've got down on the bottom, I've got different spreadsheets that basically this is my ranking sheet for this time that we will place the wrestlers into those ranking spots. And we'll go back and forth. So you might have to be a little bit patient. I'll go back if there are questions along the way. For some reason, I can't get this on the same screen. I might have to have two computers going at once so I can share. So basically, I could probably do this on two different computers, which is possible because I've got multiple screens. And maybe I'll do that in the future too. We'll have to see. Or maybe I have to get my son to have his multiple screens going so you guys can see what's happening. But this is it right here. I'll go back to my main ranking sheet and I'll explain what we do, and I'll increase the view so that you guys can see what's going on. Hopefully you guys' volume is fine here for what you can see. But now I'm going to go up to my view and I'm going to zoom just a little bit. I'm going to zoom it to about 200%. I can zoom it more, but I'm going to just go 200 so that you guys can see this a little better. Now over in each side, you can see across the top, what I do is I've got every weight class, 106, 113, 120, and it keeps going across the way. And what I do is I leave space on there so that I can have basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm basically an area for 10 wrestlers to pull up to be considered ranked. I'm going to be ranking 6 and then possible 2 honorable mentions. So we basically have like a top 8, but I'm going to do a top 6 and 2 can be alternate. Now, as I go through this, there's a couple different ways that I can start pulling up people. Now, this is pretty much one of the last times I'm going to use rankings from state placement last year. I'm going to start basing everything on the wrestling this year. Okay, so as this goes, if I zip down, these are the 106, and I could probably zoom in a little bit closer so you might be able to see. Let me do that real quick. Let's zoom. I think if I just went Command ++, might work too. Let's go down here. Nope, let's go up here, View, and let's zoom again. Let's create this about 250. Okay, so we're just going to look at 106 here. Now, I pulled one of the wrestlers up here because he's the only returning place winner from 106 in Class B right now that has wrestled, that I know of, actually. And that is LV, okay, Henderson from NL. Everyone know who that is? That's Northern Lights, the grade 9. Now, I'm not going to have the grades on everybody. I didn't do that. Once I get the rankings, then I'll look up what grade they're in and everything else. He placed 7th. And basically from there, then I would have a +1 on it because he was actually going to be ranked in, and he's actually, I'd take the +1, that's weight classes, basically on what they went up on. So if he's at the same waist, that would be nothing. Now, what I'm going to do with this extra column over here is basically we can start putting an arrow sign up or an arrow sign down. Now, I can do that a couple different ways. Now, for an example, if he's going up in the rankings, I can put a plus, an up sign like that, or I can basically put a down sign. Okay, so we can figure out a couple different ways to make sure we're going down, or maybe I can put a sideways one so that, you know, he's moved over a weight class. If he moved from, let's say, 106 to 113, just little indicators of where he was from the previous time. You know, I could easily, you know, make an arrow down or whatever I could put in a arrow down. Maybe it's there going down. And so this is just how it looks to begin with. And he's one of the first ones. Now, this doesn't mean he's in the very first place. I'm going to pull out 10 wrestlers that we see here, and then we can look at another place, and I'll show you how that works also. And I can share another screen for that. And so I would pull out LV. Now, I had some honorable mentions from last time, and some of these honorable mentions might have been a different weight class. Now, if I go back, let me do one thing. I'm going to show my screen back to where I was at for a second. I know there's a few people on there, so if you guys are watching this for a second, I will zip back and forth. I want to show you a place. I'm going to remove that screen for just a second, and I want to share a different screen, and I'm going to share basically what I see up and how I start looking up things before I go back to that, and we'll start pulling up some wrestlers, and you guys can make comments on the side and maybe some guys you want pulled into that top 10 for consideration. Now, I might not do all of the rankings with you guys tonight. I still want to keep this show, but I'd say 45 minutes to an hour. I don't want to go 2 hours with everybody because it gets a little long, but it makes a better YouTube show to show you how I'm doing so we can get through as many weight classes. And if somebody requests a certain weight class to look at that we can work on together, feel free to make a comment in the comments over here. I'll come back and forth with this and see how that goes. So if we're going to, but I am going to look at 106 and probably 13 because both of those weight classes are very difficult to rank to start off the season because there's a lot of new wrestlers that haven't seen competition. And I'll show you some of the other weight classes that I've looked at, okay, so that you can see how they get placed in there for rankings. And I'll show you where I find this too. And this is stuff that you guys could probably look at too, a lot of you. I do have a full track and full wrestling account, which this I think you can look probably without it, but I'll show you what I do. So the next place I'm going to share with you is where I go. Okay, so I'm going to share basically my next place. So I got to click my share screen. I've got a screen up, and I'll share this. So what you can see now on here. Now, this is track wrestling, of course, where people can find their results, and most people know about this. So if you're new to the sport, trackwrestling.com, I'm going to show you how I do this. I'm going to go up to the browse in there, and in the browse, I click on this. Now, to find stuff from there, there's several different ways, but you can go to tournaments during the weekend. You can go to seasons. Now, I like to go to seasons. And then from seasons, I'm going to go to this year's stuff. So we can look up the girls, whatever. They have to have their own area during the year, but we're going to go to the boys because that's the ranking we're doing. Then I'll go down to all the way down to North Dakota, the bottom of the second column there. It's North Dakota High School Activities Association. Now, it is a rule in the state of North Dakota that coaches are supposed to put all their information in here. Now, some coaches put all their stats and everything else, takedowns, you name it. Some coaches do not put their stats in there. So that's hard to do, to find stats, but all wins and matches should be placed in there periodically or whatever. I don't know if there's a limit of time until you have to get it in. For example, the Mandan Lions tournament, there are 4 brackets, which were not in the track. And that's going to have to be manually put in probably by the coaches. If Mandan doesn't do it, I'm not so sure. We'll have to see. But from there, how you guys doing so far? Any major questions? I'm kind of peeking back here. Now, what I did there is after at North Dakota, you can see this list of tournaments that popped up. Kind of cool, and they're dated. Okay, so then when they're dated, you can see that the Hillsborough tournament was done. That was a dual tournament this last weekend. And you can find all these results if you don't want pretty much in one location. You can go over the message board on Dakota Grappler, and I have these results. I take them, and some of them, like the tournaments, I did start turning them into PDFs. Last night, it got pretty long Sunday night for me, and I had a snafu over on Facebook. I was just going to do it through Facebook. They look like some had some cool tools and things I wanted to try out, and it was a major failure. I couldn't get my video to respond, so I went back to the old version that I've done before. And so I thought with Facebook, instead of having to zip out the screen back and forth, I could share multiple screens on Facebook. And until I figure that out, I'm going to do a little minor projects on there instead of a major one like this one. But from here, I can see this. But now, what I'm doing for the rankings, okay, I go to teams, for an example. Once I click up here, you see where that's at in the middle of the blue area, teams. And in teams, this is where we got the list of all the North Dakota teams. And there are 57 teams in the whole state of North Dakota. That's it. So if you're from South Dakota and watching this, North Dakota is small. In fact, we can see North Dakota and South Dakota is quite different. 57 of the first teams. Okay. And then on my spreadsheet, when I share that other page, I took then all of these teams, put them into a spreadsheet, got rid of the North Dakota High School Exhibitors Association, this LOC admins and all that, kept some of the abbreviations, most of them. There's a couple I changed back to the way that I do it. One would have been like, for an example, right here, this GWMT, the state of North Dakota, but I've used MONDAC, MON forever on that because it fits right in, alphabetized by Minot, then MON. So they put this in there because it has to do with some Montana schools and the ones that basically are attached to there. Pretty much all the other ones, I think, are pretty much the same initials too. They're really close. So that we have it. And then I separate out the Class A and Class B. So what do I do next? So for an example, that I started looking at tournaments or I look at an individual team. So looking back, as you see that list of all those, okay, now I can even go like this. I think that would have everything. A little bit bigger for you guys to see. You don't need to see my face, I guess, in there, but much easier for you guys to see. And in this then, you see all these teams. I am going to pick just one and show you what I did then. So from there, if I pick Alexander, now most people, if you don't know in North Dakota, Alexander's up by Watford City. They started their own little wrestling team a few years ago. And they haven't had a lot of success yet, but you can actually kind of look at different things. So from here, then I click on, and it shows the events they've been in after you click on the team. And what's coming up. So far they had a triangular. Okay, they were in a mix with Bismarck Legacy, Alexander, Watford City, JV. Okay, then they were in the Velva tournament, then the Velva Junior High tournament. Then what I can do, it's kind of interesting. I can go then and click on their roster. Let's do that first. On their roster, it shows that they have 4 wrestlers here that have been eligible. Basically, that they've met the criteria the state has. Either it's classes or making sure you meet the descent plan, having be hydrated. There's several different things there, but you can see the grades. That's where I put the grades from. There's a senior, a junior, a freshman, and 7th grader. They don't have their stats on here, or else this record over on the far right would be put in there. So they're not doing their stats on there, but they will have their record in other places. So then I can go to matches. This is the coolest one. If you guys have not seen this before, that you can actually do on track. You click matches. Then on matches, I can click on an individual wrestler. And they have their weights on there that they have been registered at. And sometimes there'll be some weights that'll change a little bit. But you can see the 2 that are ineligible are listed on there. But then I click on this for Hunter Olson, for an example. So I click on Hunter Olson. And Hunter Olson so far has these matches. He has some there, 113 and 106. So that weight in front there for 120 does not match up. That could be where he started off his descent plan. And he did wrestle a match in junior high at 106 against Walker Sabat. And then he wrestled. So it looks like he does not have any wins on the year. I could pretty much determine his record from there. You see Hunter Olson on this other side. He's 0-4. He looks like he lost because of injury here. He got pinned and then medical forfeits. So maybe he's injured right now. These other 2, when you have a medical forfeit here, these other guys got victories. So you still get the loss. It's kind of sad on that. So he's actually had 2 matches and everybody else has got wins then against him. So he would be one of those people at the 106-pound weight class or 113. He's wrestled 113 lately. So I would probably move him into the 113-pound weight class. So let's go back. And like I said, this is going to be a little long, but those that are watching, thanks for coming on. Dakota Grappler here. If you have questions, make sure you put it in the comments. Okay. If there is a weight class you want me to look at, make a request. I'm going to do several weight classes. I'm not, like I said, I probably don't plan on doing them all. And so I did put a little comment over on the side. If there is a weight class you want me to look at, make a request, and then I'll see what I can do. Okay. Oops, I have to move some stuff here. Okay. So let's go back, and I want to show you a couple more things then. Now from there, I guess I picked a team. You're not going to probably find too many people ranked. so that if I wanted to go back, I can easily just click on teams again, or wrestlers or leagues or accounts. Now I go back to their roster, but let's go back to teams. Now, if I showed you, I'm going to show you my other screen. I'm going to share the screen again, and I'll come back. So I want to show you back to my ranking screen. So I got to go back to here. It'll take me 1 second to unshare this screen. And then I wish I could have multiple screens set up. It doesn't let me do that. I have to stop sharing a screen, and then I have to share a different screen again. So that's what I was hoping Facebook would do, to just allow me. Even though it's on Facebook there, this is not just held by Facebook or done within the Facebook. It's done within a place called StreamYard. So I'm going to share my screen, and what it does is then within there, it gives me a choice of picking. I can pick StreamYard to look at. I can look at where I did Canva. It's kind of for some different things. But what I want to do is I want to do just what's called the entire screen. I could pick my window if I want to show that whole thing, or entire screen. And that's pretty much what I want. I can actually, let's go entire screen. That's fine. Okay. And then I pick that. I have to select it and I push share. And once I share, it shows this big thing, not a big deal, because what I do then is I just click over to the screen I want to share. See, now you see all of this again, because that's what's on the screen, but I actually want to show you, I got to go right, and then I want to show you again back to my spreadsheet. Now on my spreadsheet, if I'm going to start pulling people, I would take the people I had, you can make requests on there. There's a couple. Now we can go to the tournaments. But I want to show you here, if we do 106, we have to kind of look and see which ones we want to take. Now, I already took L.V. Henderson from Northern Lights. I thought Cash Brown, let's take him. Okay. And that's from. Okay. So, oops, I want to copy and paste. So I just Control C. It's copied. I'm just going to put him up here. Control V. And I have a copy of him. Now, he's in my list of the top 10. I want to take Delax Burlington. I know he's done well so far. I want to copy. I can do that there. I'm going to paste him up there. And then if anybody else is in the mix here that you guys want to see so I'll show you how I check some of this out. I know that I need to take this young man in there from Lisbon. Okay. Ryan Enge. If I pronounce something wrong, I do apologize there too. Okay. So there's 4. And sometimes I might not have to pick the whole group of 10. Think of some other ones that I saw get some major good wins. Charlie Irwin right here. I saw him and Napoleon win in that one when I looked at the stuff. So you have to be very familiar on what the tournaments have done. Now, I don't remember them all because I had to do all the South Dakota stuff too late last night. And I submitted that this morning and last night. And so I got a lot of their tournaments in. And doing both North and South Dakota, some of the names that don't come off right away. But let's think. I saw that Dahlstrom got a big win early against Harrington. I put Cash Brown up there. Yes. So let's go back. And that's on my main screen. Let me put that off to the side just a little bit. You can see part of that screen. But what I want to do is go back to here. Go to StreamYard and see if anybody made any suggestions yet. Oh, that gives you a funny screen there. I do apologize if you're watching from. It just zips me back, but you'll be okay. I don't see any suggestions yet. Okay, so let's go back to here, what you can see. So then what I will do is I want to pick out some more good 6-pounders, and I have my list there, but I can go back to the main results. Okay, so what I want to do now, I could probably go back, and I want to go, okay, high school boys there, and we're going to have a list again. So I can go back to these tournaments and see how wrestlers did. Now, what I would do, some of the bigger tournaments makes a huge difference. Dual tournaments are a little bit harder to determine how a wrestler did. You can look up matchups later, but I can look up each one of these individuals. But before I go over to the wrestlers, the teams and their wrestlers, and determine how they've done and how their matchups are, what I want to do is I want to be able to just look at who the champions are. So the ones that I will look at is Velva's a big tournament. So I'm going to click on Velva. And I can click on the Velva. Oh, I hit the junior high tournament. That is my fault. You get out of that. I want to get out of that and go to the Velva. There it is, the Velva tournament. You guys are all watching this. Thank you. And you can go to the Velva. And as I open this, I can click on the top where it says results. I can look at the brackets, but I like to see results a little bit better, because if I click results, I can go individual, I can go brackets, but I just want to go final results. So if I look at this, I already got Cash Brown in there. I probably again then want to bring in Cohen Bell, who took then second in there from Stanley. Now this doesn't show me who beat who yet, but I'll show you how I do that in a bit. Okay, but he was in a pretty good match here. It looks like it says Tech Fall. Boy, LV Henderson ran over the crowd there on that one. Then you can kind of see what's happening. Okay, and I should almost have to turn a light in my area back on here. Can you do that, Jack, for me?
Yeah.
Okay, and then so I'm going to pull in these top three here, and so I'll bring in then Cohen Bell from Stanley. So I go back to my spreadsheet. You guys can watch this, I guess. Go up, and then let's go down to Cohen Bell, Stanley. And they're all marked here. Here is Stanley right here. Oh, and I got him in 13. So what's interesting is I didn't move him back, but he was in 106. So that is a guy that I would then make a copy of. So I just put here and go copy. And I'm going to paste him over in the 106 area because that's where he wrestled last. He must have been at 13 and something else I looked at. And so he is at 6 right now. So he qualifies in for this week. And we'll copy. That's probably why I didn't think of bringing him up. I didn't see him right away. Command C, copy. Go up and let's put him in. Now, sometimes I will move things right away, and I'll take these ones right here so I got an idea. And I'll bump them down just one and move him up here because then it keeps me in order. So that, whoopsie, Cohen Bell, Stanley, copy. Once I move something, maybe. Okay, get that information. I can get what Grady is here in a bit. And I knew he took second, so I got those three. Now, Delax, Burlington, Lisbon, and New Salem. Now, all those guys, surprised enough, they all had honorable mentions last time because they've done really well over the year. So that's pretty good. And then let's take a look at a couple more tournaments. That's not too bad. Now, I might be able to pull in the fourth, Maxwell Campbell. If I want to do that really quick, okay, I can easily go back to the boys here. I can then pick teams. Watch how I do this real quick. If I want to check if Campbell's doing okay real quick, if I'm not sure to pull him up, I just click on teams. Then I go down to Velva, which is on the second page right there. Now in the Velva area, okay, I can go to matches. And then I want to pick out Campbell. There he is. Maxwell Campbell's listed at 13, but I click on him. He's wrestled 6 all year. And if you look, Maddox Campbell, yeah, I don't Velva Tournament. It just has this one in there. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe something has to happen there because he should have a lot more matches. That didn't help me for that one because I guess I'm going to have to go back. Go back on that Velva Tournament, and then go wrestlers because maybe it's 106. Tells you, I guess it kind of tells you everything there. Maxwell Campbell, 0-3. I was probably in the dual tournament the night before. It kind of gave the rankings. They had Bell, this Boyer from Mondak. Okay, you can kind of go back how they seeded them a little bit. Several things you can find. As I'm doing this, you can find out more. So I am not going to pull him in right now. Okay? Does that make sense? Unless I need to. Okay, who else? Let's go to another tournament real quick. Those are the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go to the next tournament. A quick peek at that. Okay, let's go to I know Lisbon wrestled really well. They're already in there. I'm not sure. There's only probably one other team in there in that thing. If you look at the teams, we have Kindred. Let's see how Kindred's 6-pounder did. Just to double check. And if you go again, results, and we're just looking at 106. You can see how this could easily take a long time by one person. And if you had a group of people sitting there doing this, it wouldn't take quite as long. Now, if you look, you had two of them place third and fourth. So that's not so bad. Brock Johnson might have an opportunity. So then we could easily go then to teams. And you could go then to Kindred. And there's Brock Johnson. He has no record into that place. But let's just go. That's just in the invite itself. Let's take a quick peek at Brock Johnson if we need to pull him up or not. Let's go to. I'll just go this again. I kind of somehow erased one of them, but that's okay. Hope I could have done it right here. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. Don't help people. If I go too fast, I apologize. But I want to just go to teams here and go to Kindred. Then Kindred from there, then I just want to go to matches. Then go to Brock Johnson. So we'll go to Brock Johnson at 106. And if you look at Brock Johnson, he's only got one loss to a West Fargo Cheyenne wrestler. So 1, 2, and let's see if there's anybody. There's some Frazee. Border West has always got great wrestling. Brookings has got good wrestling. Beat another Kindred wrestler, Miles Thilgis. So I don't know enough about him, but let's pull him in because he might make that top 10. Okay, Brock Johnson from Kindred. Kindred, I have Albright. Liam, nope, I do Brock Johnson. There we go. Brock Johnson. Let's pull him into the mix. He's behind Lisbon for sure here because he placed below him. And actually, if I go back, I could look at, we were looking at that roster from Kindred, and I could find out his grade right away. Brock Johnson, he is a 7th grader, 4-1 record, it says there. Very good start. Now, still just on 3-1. So then, 7th grader, filling this stuff as it goes. Okay, let me go back to see if there's any questions or comments people are making. Go back to that main screen just for a second, so be patient. Okay, no major questions yet. You can see right here. Feel free to ask any questions. I see quite a few people watching. Again, feel free to make any questions along the way. We'll see what we can do. Okay, let's go back to what I'm doing from there. Okay, so then from Brock Johnson, I got him added. That makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, the next one from there, we can go to the Napoleon Tournament. Let's go back to here. Let's get rid of the Velvet Tournament. Let's go to another tournament here. From here, I just got to go back to the beginning of the high school boys. Okay, let's go to the Napoleon Tournament. I saw that in the early bird that Irwin had won that. But we have several North Dakota teams that are in there in the Class B. So then let's go to results. Final results. And this isn't foolproof. We got Dalton Feist from Napoleon in the mix. Then another New Salem wrestler. Then Keller from South Border. And like I said, 106. 103 is a while back ago. 106 and 113. Let's take a look real quick at Dalton Feist. If he has an opportunity to make that top 10 list for this week. Let's take a quick peek at teams. Then from there, we can go back. I can go here. Teams. And they've had a couple duels, Napoleon and things, if he's had a decent matches or not and beat anybody tough. So that'll make a difference as we get more and more matches. Okay. And so these first ones aren't foolproof, but Dalton Feist. Now, Dalton Feist, in fact, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1. He's beat Walker Miller from EEK. He's beat Will Mossbrucker. He got a bye. He beat Keller from South Border. He beat Mossbrucker again. And then he lost to Charlie Irwin. So he doesn't have a lot on his resume here, but it might be enough to just get him to sneak up there and see what happens as he get into different competition. South Border always has good wrestling there. I could look at how he's doing and make a comparison, who South Border's wrestled and so forth the previous week. Okay. Okay, so Now there's several other wrestlers in this mix. If you see anybody, like they said, that Boyer, not too bad, but he didn't see him placed too high there. You have Dahlstrom from Oaks, who actually got a win against Carrington. There's Keller, who we said before. There's Bell, we already have up there. Campbell from Velva, and Cash. And like I said, it doesn't take long and we get through everything. Mogren, I saw him lose. Hedinger, now he did wrestle in the Mandan tournament. We'll take a look. Then he did get a couple matches in there. Now Urbach, I can look at him. And what's interesting is Bowman County Beach, they have some great wrestlers that are light like this. But I want to show you something really, really quick. If you could just be patient down for a second. I've got this yellow list here. These are the wrestlers. I'm not going to widen this up much. Basically, I'm going to take this whole thing. And actually, I don't need these question marks necessarily. But, well, looking at this, these are the wrestlers that have not, I'm going to widen this up just a hair for a second, have not either wrestled yet because of maybe injuries or because of not being eligible, or basically they haven't been listed yet on a team, or they moved or something. So the Warners from there, that kind of surprises me, but I don't know if they haven't made hydration, they haven't done anything, but they wrestled out in Sydney, Montana, and as a team, and I haven't seen them wrestle yet. Bosch was injured last year. He had taken 4th the previous year. So he's a kid I want to see back. He's on the list of possible wrestlers coming up, but he still hasn't wrestled. Hinkle from Levi, I have not seen him wrestle yet. He had taken 8th, and then you have Tui. I don't know. So that's the whole thing. I haven't done a lot of research. These guys, some of these guys definitely need to be ranked because of that, but I don't think I'm going to put them in the rankings until I see them wrestle because I don't know what weight they're going to be at. And it's only fair for the people that are wrestling. So these guys were in the initial rankings. You could probably go back to that, and I could go to Dakota Grappler. We can look at them. But every one of these wrestlers has not wrestled yet. Okay, we have AJ Hines and Shearer down here. Both of those, I think, are still getting down to weight. They were probably much bigger than this during the football season, and they're getting down there yet. Nagel has, maybe received a bye in there or forfeit, but I didn't see him wrestle. Tucker Schneider, he should be up the list, Mr. Wrestler type or Mr. Football for Napoleon this last year, but I don't know where he's going to be or what he's doing. So I don't know exactly. And so if you guys got a question on some guys why they're missing from the rankings this time, it might be because guess what? They haven't wrestled yet. And I noticed here this Feist last year, he lost in the blood round. That's what BR means, blood round. The last round before placing. So if they'd have won that match, they'd have placed at least 8th. And you have a lot of those blood round people. So they're right there in the mix. And I saw that Harrington is wrestling in that spot for Feist. So I'm not sure what's going on there. If he got beat out or is injured, I don't know. And maybe somebody can inform me, but you can do it off the scenes. Or maybe if you want to type it in there and tell me what's happening with all these wrestlers here. So if you don't see him on the list, I am sorry, guys. There's people from the South Border that will want to see him, Pembina County North. They probably, like I said, deserve to be in the rankings, but until they start wrestling, only makes sense. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I wanted to bring one more in. Let's go 8 for Napoleon. I wish it was easier to pull up every wrestler at a weight class, but I don't think that track wrestling has that ability yet. So that's 8. I can pull up 2 more if we want to take a quick peek at their rankings. Take a look here. Oh, Shearer, his tore his ACL. Is there any chance that Shearer, Rob, is coming back? Like before the end of the year? Do you have any idea? Okay, and then Jake the Snake, will be wrestling coming up. And you guys know that his name is Jake the Snake. As a kid, he used to wear a little snake singlet. He was feared by all the little kids. Oh, he's out for the season. Sorry to hear that. I know Lisbon's got several of the wrestlers, but if you have a state finalist, that's hard to beat. So, those are points. And with Lisbon being in the mix, they're top 3, top 4 team for sure, and always have a chance of winning a duel with their team type thing. Now, when I did the last rankings, Hedinger was also in that mix, that top 5. And I don't see Tui in there. and I might have to ask some questions about that. But if you take all the guys from New Salem right now, they're pretty much taking a pretty good lead on the rankings. So thanks for making the comments. Yeah, Lisbon has 2 more behind Shearer at least. It's good to see the big boys in Lisbon. And I tell you what, that's pretty awesome. But I tell you what, it's got to be tough to keep those guys motivated. They got to, it's a different, how can you say, fellowship of friends if you guys can make it all that way. Okay, so this is my main screen. I'm sorry. Let's go back and get to anybody else. Let's take a look at any more tournaments here. I'm going to get rid of the Napoleon. Like I said, I'm not going to do all the weight classes. If somebody wants to, maybe I'll just do 1 or 2. And then what I will do is I will start wheeling this down on myself. And hopefully then by tomorrow, if I can make this process, once I get this one up, the first one, that I did before was almost a guess at what weight classes kids were at, moving kids up and where they were kind of in track wrestling without descent plans, not knowing those. This really clears things up after the first thing. Some people will move along the way. Okay, but let's go here. Let's go back to tournaments here and see if there's any other tournament I want to look at real quick. Okay, Jamestown, Mandan, Napoleon, Velva, Sydney, Dan, Unruh. Now I did that one. So let's quick. I think there's only a couple teams that were in the Dan Unruh. And in Mandan, there were two teams. There was Killdeer and Hettinger. And I'll quickly show you that in there. If we go to each one of those, and we can go to basically right away to the different teams. So let's go to results. And then let's go by team results. And we can click on each one. So we can go to Killdeer. And I usually put this down when I do this. So I could click on Killdeer. They didn't have anybody until 120. And Jace Anderson took 4th. So he'll be in the mix. He's a returning place winner. He'll be one of those ones pulled. And then you look down, they're heavyweight down here. You're going to notice something big here. Okay, you got some placers. So if you can place in this Class A tournament, it is a barn burner. All the different matches they get. A lot of guys can get 7 matches for sure, and some even more. But Roundy had a great tournament there. Ben Roundy. Now, he did get beat. He got caught and pinned in his second match to Moran, and then was the second seed coming out of his side of the bracket, and then pinned his way. He was down in the finals, and then when he got on top, a nice little butcher, a couple of different things, and next thing you know, he won. He beat the Rapid City Stevens. Now, heavyweight is going to take a while to balance out. It's not, I want to give this with a grain of salt, but until we start going, it is probably still up for grabs. There's a lot of heavyweights that aren't experienced enough yet. They still got to get a lot better. This is, I would say, not a strong class. And in fact, at this Mandan tournament, this heavyweight class wasn't as strong as it's been in the past. But you can never take that championship away from a guy that wrestled really good on the weekend, as if you can tell. If you notice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pins out of his 7 matches. Pretty good. Can't complain there. So they'll have a couple guys that will be pulled out for the Killdeer team, but I don't have to look at 106. If you then look at the other Class B team that was in here, that's Hettinger. And Hettinger, if you look here, Hasbrock, he had a kind of a rough weekend, as you can see. He did not fare very well. I give him all the kudos for, wrestling all these matches against the 6-pounders, but he did not fare well enough. Here's somebody that might be pulled right there. Schweske actually took 5th place. It was a pretty good heading. He did get 3 wins, and he had 2 losses. He must have had a couple of buys in there. If it doesn't give the round, it must have been either a forfeit or buy in there. Usually a buy in there in the bracket. So he found a way to get in and wrestle in the 5th place match. Then Tanner Defoe at 26 wrestled okay. You can see that he lost to a couple different people along the way, but he did get some pretty good wins against Moorhead, against Bismarck High's varsity. He also got a decision against Braden Morris, Century's varsity wrestler. And then he lost. He took 6th place. Warbus did okay, but these brackets, I have to go back to my other one because these brackets are not shown on track. I had to basically take pictures of them, turn them into PDFs. Connor Andrus was in the mix to place. Gavin Daly, all those. You go down, Peckus had a great tournament at 182. Of course, he'll be pulled into that mix. He lost in the finals to Brock Fedek. Now, if you guys don't know about Brock Fedek, he is in my Super 7. He'll probably move up in the Super 7. He might be the second best, or maybe I might go 1 after his performance this last weekend. Now, you don't even know the best way to do this, but he's going for a record the way it sounds. He wants to, Brock Fedek. I'm not talking Peckus. Brock Fedek here, I'm highlighting from Bismarck High. He was on a mission to take down everybody as many times as possible, and they keep their stats on track. So I looked it up. Brock Fedek, as of this weekend, has 97 takedowns on the year already. Okay, so if you want to put that on the side again, 97 takedowns already in the season. The next closest in the state of North Dakota is 17. So he's got a ton of takedowns. What he's doing is taking people down, then letting them go, taking them down, letting them go, taking them down. The old, late 80s, early 90s technique where takedowns. And I want to see how he fares down in Rapid City, because he's a man among boys right now. He is by far, he had an opportunity to sign the NDSU. He hasn't done that yet. He hasn't, but I think they pulled from offered him. So he has an opportunity, maybe if he wants to wrestle in college, go somewhere special. But this weekend, going down to Rapid City, he might run into some people a little bit tougher than what Mandan had to offer. And tell you what, this Vance Coy from Rapid City Stevens was usually no slouch for anything. Caleb Porter, no slouch from West Fargo. Some of these other people, there's some people that he faced too along the way. So I got to get back to the ranking. I could talk all day about wrestling, but you can start seeing the guys that I would pull. As you guys can tell, I talk a lot. Okay, so let's look at the other ones. Will you be doing 113? Okay. Grant Lyons will be Lisbon heavyweight this year. Okay, very good. And I know he'll be in the mix. I saw him wrestling really well. I do plan on showing you a little bit of 113, Bridwell. Tracy, I'll do a little bit of that. Like I said, I didn't want the show to go too long, but I know we're already almost 45 minutes into this. But let me go back to the screen so we can show you what we do. And I'll start pulling some wrestlers. Okay, how about that? Now, I think I'm close on just pulling for that weight class. Let's go here. So instead of ranking them at this point, let's just pull the top 10 for 13. This looks like I'll still review a couple of these other ones, look at their records, some of these honorable mentions. Now, he had an honorable mention to start, Haas, but he lost to some people. I'll look at, like I said, some people haven't got a lot of matches yet. I know Oaks, Dahlstrom, he had only one. He beat the Harrington wrestler in the duel. Let's just go over to 13. Now, as I start pulling guys from 13, I can go back to my rankings from last time. So if I did that, I would go File, Open Recent, and I could have the North Dakota rankings number 1 right here. Let's pull that up for a second. So this is what happened last time. And at 106, this Werner's not in that weight class anymore. Can you guys still see that? Let me make this a little bit bigger. View. So you guys can view this a little bit better. I don't know how big your guys' screens are. If you're watching this on your phone, it'd be like really tough. But let's go up to 200. And if you start looking at these weight classes, now Haas, he had an opportunity there. Some of these guys are in there. I will recheck all their rankings, but these are the guys I'd pull first. And then you start seeing I had to move LV Henderson over. Now he's a very high ranked. He's going to be right in here because he's back at the same weight. Same with Ryan from Lisbon. He's back down, and he was ranked. But you see Bridwell here, Walter Bridwell, very good from Linton. I saw that he wrestled again pretty well in Napoleon. He's probably going to be pulled right away, and all these other wrestlers here. So let's take a list. I'll use this for reference because a lot of this is based on the previous year's rankings on basically after the state wrestling tournament, how they did in the state wrestling tournament. Usually all the people that had placed are pretty much ranked. Now, some I knew what weight classes they were going to be in, some I did not know. And then the ones that were close to placing last year, which I call the blood round, also had an opportunity to get on this list. So you're going to find out that as seniors graduate, of course, you have to remove them, and then you start putting other people in there. Now, a lot of these guys, I'll notice, here was my Super 7 up here from last time. Bowden Greenlee, okay, Cole Gerhardt, You got Garrett Hebo. You got Brecken Lura, Wyatt Engrich, Levi, okay, Hinkle. Now, maybe that should have been, I have the wrong one up there. I'm thinking that's the other Hinkle I should have in there. I should have Trevor. Very good. I should have Trevor in there. And then AJ Hines. So that is one that like I said, I make mistakes. But that's why it was the first fun one. So let's go now back. I've got this blown up a ways. Let's look at 113 and start pulling guys up to the top. Now, as I do that, Brady Peterson, he's one that's going to be pulled up there. He's been in the mix for lots of stuff. Let's just move him into that top 10 area. Cruiser Burns, okay. Also one of those that were honorable mentions from last time. Hunter Bridwell. Actually, I did that wrong. I'm sorry. I got to go back here because I copy it and put it up. I don't want to move him in there because then he takes him out of my place here. So good thing I didn't go too far. Copy, put him up here, Control V. So he's still back in this team area. I don't want to move him out of his team area. Okay, let's go. Bridwell, and he's a junior. Copy. And so, like I said, there's no order. I'll rearrange those and then keep going down. And you start noticing, look what happens at 13, which becomes very difficult, is then, okay, now I had Bell here again from Stanley, and he's over on that side, so I am going to actually delete him. We'll find out who's in that spot for Stanley right now. Now, 113, as you notice, I wanted Schweske, but he wrestled 20. Let's see. So what I'll do is at 13 here. So what I want to do, Schweske isn't listed in there, but I know he's done okay. So let's then go back to here and go teams. And then I go Hedinger. And Schweske, I know, has done pretty well, but we can definitely check what he's been wrestling this year. Matches. And we want to find Kyler Schweske. And you see he's wrestled 13 the whole time. Now, he does have 2 losses on the year, but both of them are to stud wrestlers. Zabrowski from Sturgis and Ben DeForest, a state placer. He does have wins over West Fargo, over Century, and over West Fargo again. 4th, 5th place. Tell you what, let's move him in the mix. It might take a little bit. He might be on the bottom half because he doesn't have a lot of matches yet, but he might be one of the honorable mentions / could be ranked, in that bottom half of the top 6 as we start pulling people up. Okay, so let's go down here. Hedinger. Copy. Paste. Okay. Hunter Olson, Hinkler, or Hinker, Weeks, Carr. Okay, keep going down. What I will do is then I go to the tournaments and see how they've been doing. Okay, there's Noah Anderson from Lisbon. There's Garrett Neal from New Salem. He's actually got quite a few different losses. Michelson there. And you notice a lot of holes in there. Some of these teams have not had wrestlers at 113 either. Napoleon, Newtown, okay, all these places. NW, why can't I think what that is? I'll have to think about that for a second. Rugby, Standing Rock, Stanley, Velva. Okay, look up Hyde. So let's go to these tournaments and look at 113 real quick, and then we'll pull some of those placers in there. So I go back here and the other way, and we'll just go straight to the tournaments. Start pulling people in. So let's, guys surviving out there. I tell you what, this is always a fun time of the year. Wrestling begins. Okay, so let's go to I like to go to the Velvet Tournament first because that shows me a lot. Velvet Tournament. And let's get, probably we want the top 3 out of the Velvet Tournament this very first, and it'll weed its way out as it goes. So let's go results. Final results at 113. There's down here. So we got Cade Else from Mondak. So I want to go back and back. Mondak, Cade Else, okay. There's one that I haven't moved up there. He won that tournament, so let's put him up here. Command V. Okay, second place from Northern Lights, Herman. Okay, it was a 11-1 match. So there's Herman. Let's put in Braylon Herman from Northern Lights. Okay, so go down to Northern Lights. There's Braylon Herman. And copy. And then as we go and we start getting direct matchups as a couple of weeks go on, I know once we get past the Linton tournament in 2 weeks before Christmas, boy, these brackets will really start, or these rankings will start making a lot more sense, because you'll see a lot of matchups, and face-to-face, head-to-head matchups maybe it makes it easier for a lot of weight classes, but then sometimes it makes it harder. You start having splits and you name it, and we'll figure that out. Okay. Let's see. And then Drew Carr of Carrington. So, and then we got Gores of Northern Lights. So that's another person, and then a backup for here. So that is as far as I'd go. Let's take a look at Carrington's wrestler real quick before I put them up. Okay, so then I go back to the teams. That's right beside here. About there, I can easily go and just go. Let's just go back. Oh, that's just the man deadline. So if I go here, I can go to the teams then. And I started zipping around. So if you guys are following along really well, I started going really fast and not talking this out. But I wanted to look at Carrington here. So let's take a quick peek. And hopefully you guys can have an opportunity to look at this stuff yourself. If you didn't know how to look up this stuff, I can walk through this several times. So let's go matches again. And I'm not sure if you can do that with the general or just me logging in. But we wanted to look again at the 13-pounder, Mr. Drew Carr. And Drew Carr, go back, Drew Carr beat Weeks of Minot Ryan. Drew Carr beat Mellon of Kenmare. Then he lost to Hillsborough's. So might have to look here at Hillsborough's 13-pounder. Kozojin. Then he lost to Fargo Davies, which I can't include really because it's Class A. And then he had a forfeit, and then he went over Dakota. That's their junior or JV guy from Minot. So let's think about him. Let's bring him in for now. He's actually beat a couple people, but then I'll also look at Hillsborough's. Okay. So let's bring him in, and then let's bring in teams. Go to Hillsborough. I'll remember that. Hillsborough, and then let's look at their matches. Go to 113-pounder. Okay, they got a lot of 6-pounders here. 113. I was looking at this one right here, Carson. Okay. Carson has got a win over Carrington, so he's beat Drew Carr. We knew that. And then he lost to Fargo Davies, which both those guys did. It's Kane Matheson, Fargo Davies. He then beat Pembina County's Logan Warren. He lost then to Manoman Waban. Two different ones at the Hillsborough Dual Tournament. It looks like 138. I think this is wrong. I don't think he wrestled 138. I think they had to write this twice. So that was just a mistake there because he can't go up to 138. But then he lost. That's the one he probably lost to. And then he beat Dilworth wrestler. He beat Hyde from Lemoore. I still want to look up Hyde a little bit. And then he beat another one. So I think he deserves to pull in there. So I'm going to pull Carson. Then okay, I'm going to pull in Carson from Hillsborough. And Hillsborough Central Valley. Okay, right there it is. Copy. He's in the mix. OV. And then we can also, then I want to look up Joey Hyde. So that's the team Lemoore. So I can go back and go teams. Go Lemoore. It's kind of cool that you can actually look up this. Then you go to matches, you then can look at each one. Now, if you look at the 113, I don't see him there. Oh, there he is, Joey. Okay, he's wrestled 113. He wrestled 105 on the Jamestown Middle School Tournament on the 3rd. So he's doing a little bit of both. I see. So I see he beat Cheyenne Moore from Pembina County. Yeah, he's got some junior high matches which don't count. So I can't include him quite yet. He's lost some junior high matches to Kellen Benke and Jack Schauer from Jamestown. He did beat Aberdeen Central. That's middle school, though. So I'll wait on him yet. We'll see how that goes as the season goes. Okay. So I wanted to look at Carr one more time. Through Carr, I did already. Okay, so let's pull him. He might be at just the edge. Copy. I'm going to put him actually below all these. Control V. Then I'm going to move these up. So basically, I'm sitting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to pull out an 8th here. Let's find an 8th, and then I'll move to the next one. And I'll rank them later. So I got Kyler Schweske here. I moved him up already with there. So there's Hediger, Ken Mayer. I didn't see him up in that tournament shine or anything. Kildeer's Gavin Johnson. Nope. Larson Larimore. Didn't see him yet. Got Bridwell in there from Linton. Okay. Let's take a quick look at that. Let's go teams again. Let's grab Linton for a second. And I saw he was doing pretty well. But if you go down to Bridwell, Holter Bridwell, looks like there's a Hauser Bridwell and a Holter Bridwell. And you notice Holter's 3-0. Okay, and so that's a good start in the season. He's beat the same person twice. Now, this is according to what they have over the weekend. Litton's just started wrestling their tournaments, and that's why it's hard to do this first ranking here. But I think for sure I can lay it out so that we can get pretty close. That's not so bad. If you look at, like I didn't pick a 6-pounder from Linton, but you see that there he's wrestled in the Falkton Junior High. That's Hauser. Bridwell. He did wrestle in the Napoleon Tournament. Charlie Irwin. Okay. Teams. Okay. Crazy thing is you can always go to all these different teams and start going crazy. But I want to look at Central Castle's 13-pounder one more time. Okay, you got Urbach, you got Volk. Oh, it could be interesting. Those are great wrestling names. He's got some varsity stuff in him. Urbach's beat a few wrestles. Let's look at Evan Volk for a second. Evan Volk has a varsity match there. Switching time a little bit, taking Minnesota schools. So not much I can see there yet. Can actually look at each one of these wrestlers to see if they've got some varsity time. I like looking at that too. Just really quick, it'll pop up. Weight 75 pounds. Oh, there's a little one. He'll be around for a while. Jamestown Middle School. They're trying to find there's an 80-pounder in at 106. There's another 80-pounder. Got some nice small guys. Yeah, so 106 looks pretty empty there for now with one of these guys. But that, like I said, to put in Brady Peterson, he's been in there at 13 and at 20. I think I already pulled him in there. But if you notice, he did lose to a guy from Crookston. That was at 120. He does have other wins. Sam Schmitz. So that's why he's in the mix. So that's why I've got Brady Peterson in there at 113. Let's go back and look at the top of 113. There I had Brady Peterson already in there. Okay, so then if I look at 113, Brady Peterson was in there at 6 last time. Holter was in there. Do I have 8 yet? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 only. I need to find one more. Let's take a look at what they're saying. Maybe they're saying something on the screen that I don't know what's going on. So let me take a quick peek. I haven't looked back at my screen. Okay. Okay. Cruiser did not wrestle Peterson in the duel at Castleton Friday night. He made weight because he collected an open against Northwood. Okay, the rumor has it he has a broken toe. Oh, okay, that's what's up with Cruiser. Okay, he didn't wrestle Peterson. I see. That does make a difference. Okay, so let's take a quick peek then at Lisbon here, teams. And it's tough if somebody's injured. They're probably not going to be on there very long either. If I go then, if you look at 113, this is why some people weren't in the mix right away. But you can definitely look at different people. Like versus Oaks, Noah Anderson had wrestled. But then, okay, let's see. This is 113. Got a little bit. Ends there. It doesn't have all their matches either because they wrestled more than one match in the Unruh tournament. Kevin Rinke, no matches there. Ryan Olson hasn't got, he's got one junior high, one Napoleon. Noah Anderson has got some matches. I mentioned that. That's as far as I can go there, I see. Okay, well, I tell you what, 113 is looking pretty tough to find a eighth. That's why I can't guarantee that there's always going to be 8 in honorable mention, but probably find one on my own. So let's really quick find one more. Let's find another weight class. And those that are watching, I tell you what, we're over an hour already. Thank you so much. Let me try to find another weight class we'd really like to look at. Okay, so let's go to a weight class. I'm going to get this just a touch smaller. Okay, so 113. No, let's go to, okay. I'm going to bring this to 100% for a second. Now, this is a tough screen, but easier for me to see for just a little bit. Now, as I go to, to 120 and so forth, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that are either in a previous ranking or a previous state placer, because you can see here that I've got numbers by them. But then I start color coding later on. And if you notice, I didn't notice that. I forgot to tell you earlier, but there was a blue by here, meaning that he's the one that won a tournament and probably should be moved up there. But if you look at at 126, I put Cashton Wadeson here from Lisbon in there at 126 and put a green by him, meaning that he's probably a good to go to start putting up toward the top. And because he beat, a state placer, and I start doing that, he beat Oaks wrestler here in a good match. I didn't watch it, but I saw the results. And so that is one that would get somebody ranked at the next weight class. So he'd be probably some to pull up, but you notice I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that mix that have previous rankings. I know Lane Cooper wrestled really well up in Velva. And so he's going to be in the mix. In fact, why don't we just pull a few of these? It's pretty easy. This would be an easy one to start pulling some. And so these are just, and then I'll rearrange them. You can pretty much make suggestions from here. Cole Gerhardt's an automatic, being a couple times state champion there. Then whoops, I'm doing that wrong again. I got to go back again. I have to remember to copy these because it becomes a pain otherwise. Okay, then I can put, got to put Wadeson in there. He'll be in the mix of stuff. And then we have to put, again, like I said, Cole Gerhardt. And he's wrestled. He basically doesn't relinquish. You can kind of see up here. Let me zoom in one more time again. I'll show you something. as I start doing this, again, if you're just coming in now and starting to see some stuff I did earlier, looking at this weight class with Cole Gerhardt, you see this 1+2. He took first place at state, but he's moved up 2 weight classes. Lane Cooper took third at that bracket, moved up 2 weight classes. Surprisingly, the same thing. You'll notice that as I go down here, if you see other ones, Justin Hudson, he is a blood round loser, +2. All these guys pretty much were in the same weight class last year, but moved up 2 weight classes. So I got that up there. Let's move in. Okay. Harrington's got some big wins here. He's another guy that'll be considered. I usually put a little green by him. I'll see what happens there because he's actually in a spot of a returning place winner or blood round winner. I'd have to look again. It's down on my yellow on the bottom. But Tanner Foe will be in that mix. He's coming back to wrestle, so he'll be in the mix of getting up there. I'm not going to move him up quite yet, but he will be in that mix. No. Cody, got to move him up. And then we're going to use this up here on moving up and down if you guys are new there. And Colin Dean. Now, this is kind of an interesting one. He did take... What's interesting, I do have him not colored for some reason. I believe... I have to look at that one a little bit. I don't know why he's not wrestling completely yet. I'm not sure what's up there. Someone might have to tell me that one because I don't remember his results, him wrestling in the Velvet Tournament this past weekend at 126. Okay, so I'm going to move up then for sure. Let's put him possibly in the mix, both these guys. Now, anybody else in that mix? I can look up Hoffman. Colin Dean's already there. Overmeyer, not sure. I think got a good start there on that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 120. Might as well move up a couple here. Both these guys. Copy will be moved up. See, and it becomes a process of elimination in a lot of senses, where then once I get the people up into that area doing the rankings, I basically then move them to another sheet. So that's what I would do is then I should do it individually, but what I'll do is then I'll open up a whole nother blank thing. And with that blank thing, then I can move them, or I can do it one at a time from a blank sheet, or I can move them right into here as they get ranked. Then I start doing team points. Okay. And when I do team points, now dual ranking right now has been the same pretty much as the team ranking, but I give each place that they're in the seed a amount of points. So for this time, what I'm doing, and I'll write it on the side here so you can see it. If you have first, okay, they'll get 30 points. I think last time I did 25, but I started to recalculate how I want to do that. So second. Okay, now here's where the biggest point differential takes place in like a state wrestling tournament, depending upon pins and everything else like that. Second place does not get that 4 points if you win in the difference in the final. So right here, I'd usually put 26. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it 25. So there's a little differentiation between there. Now you can get bonus points of 2 for a pin, so you can actually get 6 points in a finals match. So I'm like giving them just like they get a major in there. Okay, then third. Okay, this time, okay, I am going to give them 21 points. Fourth in there. Now, this is a differential also 4, so they're going to get 17. Whoops, I forgot to write fourth. Then for fifth on here, differentiation of only 3. I don't know why that's not going off the side, but that's okay. Like that. And that is a grand total of, like I said, 3 difference. That's 14. Sixth on this. Make sure you send it also. That's. I must have did some little formatting and stuff. And sixth over here will be a difference of 12 points. And then anybody that gets in an honorable mention area for today, okay, anybody that's honorable mention will get 8 points. So that when I'm done with the final score and put them into places, I will then tabulate how many points they've earned, and that will then put the team scores up here for what they are. Make sense? Okay, let's check if there's any questions again. So I go back to here, I better double check. So I got this big screen coming about. Okay, Cooper beat Dean in the finals. That's right. I did see that. Okay, thank you. Pam Henderson, thank you so much. Because I was trying to think about, I was thinking about another injured wrestler is who I was thinking about. So when I had this, oops, let's go to here, go back to my main sheet here. I was thinking, I was thinking about Connor Bosch. That's who I was thinking about. That's for Beulah Hazen. So I was kind of in my own head thinking Colin Dean and Connor Bosch. I don't know why that would even come up, but yeah. So that's why that right there and Colin Dean between these two. And I knew he was a finalist last year. Just that right now, if I did this, then what I would do is I know that these two would be moved down a little bit. I'd move Colin Dean probably into this place. And then I'd probably move, you have to go this way. And then I'd probably keep it close to there, and I'd start then look up down head-to-head competition right there. That might balance out the top 7, and I'll figure out an 8th. See how I did that? Okay. And let's then start moving some more of these in here in this one right here. I know he'll be in the mix. I saw he had a great week. Copy. And paste. And if you have another bracket we can look at, because I have all of these, a Wyatt Ingwich, of course. Copy. He's actually going to be probably until he gets beat. You know, Wyatt Ingwich is on top. He's a returning state finalist up 2 weight classes. And Trace took 4th. Not moving up any weight classes, I don't think. He's the same honorable mention. And Sawyer Owens. You have Jace Anderson, who looked really good at Mandan. Even though he took 4th, it was very tough competition. Jace Anderson, actually, probably I might actually just move this to there for now. Oops, as soon as you move something that it doesn't remember what I was doing there. Jace Anderson Killdeer. Whoopsie. Whoop. Had to go back. Jace Anderson for the whole thing. Troll V. There we go. And then Riker Vetter. He is also in there. We also have Brimhall from, there we go, Wells County. Okay. Not too bad. There I've got 7 already. And then what I'd do then is start looking at the tournaments to see how, now Griffin Greenlee, not sure he's done quite good enough yet when I looked at the results. I know that this Sorum wrestled okay at times. Warner, did I move him up? Pembina County? No, I didn't move him up yet. So, got to move Warner up here. He is a returning state place winner. So look at that. Control V. There is 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is 8, but usually I move 10 in here just so I could make comparisons. Okay, again, back to here. Trace is up 2 weight classes. Trace is up 2 weight classes. Okay. Trace Hogarth. You got him there. So he wrestled 6 last year. Trace Hogarth did. Okay. That's, I don't know why I don't have that there. But I can go to my returning state place winners too and double check on that. That's fine. I'll double check that because now after this ranking, I'm going to get rid of all this place winners here, how they did previous, because that is not going to matter. It's going to matter on the rest of the year on how stuff goes. That some of that criteria on state placing, it's not going to matter because they got beat by somebody in here. The rankings are going to change. So from there, 132, let's start looking at some of the names, though. At least we can look at some that I'd move up. Of course, Matthew Dusher. He for sure would be in the mix for anything there. William Cook of Kenmare Bowbells, KB. Let's take a look at that. Whoops, I'm doing the same thing I did again. I got to go back and back. Tenerife, hopefully I didn't do the same thing with him. Let's go back because I think I might have moved up somebody up. Nope, Warner. Okay, that's good. I was kind of moving kind of faster, so let's go back. I got to copy these. And then Cook, he's wrestled pretty well so far. Been looking at the results. So some of these guys are the same guys that are ranked because I could see that pretty quick. Carter Schmitz, he should be in the mix. He's got a lot of talent. Of course, many of you guys know he's been a state champion before. Took third last year. And then New Salem, Ethan Meyer, he's placed. He's looked pretty good. And sometimes we'll get more than 8. Then we have to then determine from there how we're going to debate it, and we'll see head-to-head competition. Okay, DeLong is wrestled okay. So here we might have more than 8. Because there was already 5. Here's another one. Now, Trevor. He's wrestled just a little bit. Copy. But he is a state champion. Right there. So I was waiting for Michael Wolf. He's wrestled really good. Keaton Meyer, copy. So I'm going to get probably all 10 here for this one. Control V. He's returning place winner for Stanley. I go back a long time for that one. And then the Velvas, Hildre, Carson. Now, if I pronounce these wrong, somebody clear me up too on that. Okay, so that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Probably pull one more out of that mix. Now, Tucker Bombach. Okay, that's a great name. He's got good genes right there, but still it's taking a beating on some of them. Blake Odin, I saw him for the first time. Some stuff there. Seamus Kelly. Okay. Now, Grant Wagner. I'd have to look that up for Oaks. Now, one thing Oaks did, which kind of makes me mad too, and I'm going to get onto Corey Shaw, they put all their names in cap letters so that when I cut and paste them over here, it doesn't match my format for everything else. Then a couple coaches put in all small letters, and that's a pain too. If you're kind of a little OCD like myself, that stuff is a little bothersome. Okay, so let's go real quick. And let's take a look at a couple tournaments just at 132, because I want to see if we need to sneak somebody else in here, because I think I remember seeing somebody fall in and beat somebody in here that is not on that list. So what I would do then is that I want to go over to 132 on here in just a couple tournaments. Here's the Velvet tournament. Let's look at results at 132. Okay, Keaton Myers. Okay, he beat Dusher. That is a big one to move people up. So let's go back. That'll help me real quick. So Myers, right here, Keaton Myers. Let's make a space here. I just move everybody down. And that's how I would determine then. Whoops, what's going on here? Okay. Keaton Myers. It's trying to click there. There, Keaton Myers. Let's move him up. Okay. So you know he's going to be above, just on the matchup, Matthew Dusher. Okay. Let's take a look at another one here. Then we have Harrington. That's the one. Okay, Noah Harrington. He's wrestled 132. Here, am I doing 130? Yeah, Harrington. That is the one that I see Harrington on Harvey Wells County right there. Maybe I need to get him in the right spot. Let's look up Noah Harrington here in a second. Maybe at 138 he could be ranked. So he's down at 32 there. I'm going to look at what he's done all year. That might be the name I'm thinking of. Okay. And then he beat Velva's Hildre. So if I go back to what I've gotten here. Okay, so Velva. The other one on the mix would be Carson at 4th here. And I did not bring him up there, did I? Carson. Oh, yeah, I did right here. So he's beat him, so he would actually go right in here. But I'm going to quickly look Harvey Wells County. Oopsie. Start using, when you use a Mac, you have to use 2 fingers to do some stuff. 3 fingers moves the screen. So let's take a quick peek. So I can go like this, and then again. And I've got here, and look up teams. I want to look up Harvey Wells County. Now, Harrington, now that is a classic name from that area, the Harvey area. In fact, I've played softball with some of the Harringtons, and I know that there's some in the Hall of Fame. So let's go matches. Maybe I got them in the wrong column. There's Noah Harrington right there. Wonder which one is his dad. Now, he's wrestled 32 all year, but then he wrestled Noah Harrington. Okay. 32. I have him in the wrong spot on my thing here, I think. I've got him down at 126. My fault. So what I do there is I'm going to have to move him. And that is sometimes what happens. And that's why it's early in the year. So he's a guy that would go there. And I am going to highlight him if I can. Cancel. Let's just, for some reason. Okay, let's copy. Paste. Okay. And Harrington in here. So let's go to roster. I'm going to might as well put his grade in there. And Harrington is a senior, 8-5 on the year. 8-5. Mason Feist is the one that was missing at 126. He's 0-3, and he is a returning like blood winner. So I don't know if he's injured a little bit or something. But Noah Harrington, okay. He is a senior. Back at that for a second. Okay, and I had him back here again. Okay, so who's he lost to? He lost to Minot's Daniel Fernandez, which is a good wrestler. Michael Dusher he's lost to, but a 6-4 match against a state placer from Carrington that's a very good wrestler. He beat Turtle Mountain. He beat Beulah. He beat Bishop Ryan. And then, okay, DeLong beat him. Okay, DeLong would be ahead of him. Moan. Keaton Myers, a 5-3. So he's in the mix with all these state players. Okay, Keaton Meyer. Okay. So he'd below a Keaton Meyer, of course. He would be, he's lost to Keaton Meyer and DeLong. Okay, so let's go back. Now I'd look at DeLong and Meyer. He's go Keaton Meyer, so way up there. So then I'd have to look right now. He might not be in a bad place right there. He's below DeLong. He's below Meyer here. Cook. I actually would move Cook here. And what's in, I might, oops, I'm going to move him just over here just for a second. Because Carter Schmitz now, after that loss here, I have to look at Carter Schmidt close because I'll look at that too. Because between him and Dusher, they haven't wrestled yet this year, but that's one that we'd have to really look at. Now, Ethan Cook, I'd probably move this up. Like I said, I usually do the rankings a little bit different, and then I'd put William Cook in there, right in the mix. He's a 7-8. This I'll have to look at how we do this, but this could be my mix right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in here. So I will debate and rearrange those. Anybody have any suggestions? Feel free to type it in for 132. Okay, there we go. Rob Owens. There we go. Very good. So keep going. I tell you what, I'm glad we still got a lot of people watching this. We're an hour and a half in. I wanted to go about 45 minutes to an hour, but you could notice how when you do the rankings, it could take several hours to kind of put this all together. But I did, spent a little time last night. I had it all arranged to go on last night, at least the spreadsheet. And then from having the spreadsheet made out, that didn't take too terribly long. And by me talking on this, I get sidetracked every once in a while too. And if you guys notice, I do a lot of talking. Gonna wear out my voice. But let's take a look at one or two more brackets just so you guys can see who's there. And it's kind of cool that we have that opportunity to at least look at these brackets so you can see who I'm bringing up. Let's just bring up a few more. Okay, we know Corbin Clifton. He actually got a loss the other day to a pretty good wrestler, and he'll be probably brought up. He is a returning place winner. As I'm doing this without a mouse. So other people, of course, Kate Olson, Tinglestead, he'll be in the mix. Whoops, I did this wrong again. I got to make sure I don't move them up. That's just lack of sleep on my part. Copy. Put him in the mix. Control V. Okay, move him in. Control V. Other ones, of course, Chance Burns from Grafton. He's a stud wrestler too. Copy. This goes back a few years. You probably remember that story where I don't know if now somebody can correct me or not, but I don't know if Chance has a brother whose name is Matt, and it goes to one of the best wrestling names ever, Matt Burns. I've had my share of Matt Burns, but I don't know if that's a joke or not. But so don't take it the wrong way. But whoopsie, I pasted there. Let's go back. I want to copy this one for Warbus, the mix. And then see, as you can see, Timmy Ford. I tell you, that's another one who wrestled pretty well. I think I saw that he beat some pretty good people. Timothy Ford. Sounds like car dealership. Let's go to Timothy Ford. Buy that new truck. Mike Nelson has had a good start of the year. He'll be in the mix. I know we've had several people that moved up a couple different weight classes from Lisbon. You can see that Wallner moved up 3. Start looking at right here. Blaze up 5 weight classes. So it's huge. But guess what? If you got to pass people to get up there, it's one that people can look at some. Okay, other people move in the mix. Now we've already moved up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got another one here. Riley Dahl, who wrestled really good in Napoleon, and he was one of those blood round casualties last year. So he'll be in the mix. That'll help New Salem as their team is just loaded. I saw that Blaine Wald, I put a green by him because he beat a ranked wrestler and a pretty good one too. So we'll look at him just in a second. Now, Oaks hasn't wrestled much, so that was kind of a big win. I think it might have been against Corbin Clifton. So he beat a state placer. I'm pretty sure that's one of them that he beat. And beating Corbin Clifton could get him maybe on that board. You never know. Okay, and then you got Carson Brown from Pembina County North. And this isn't, of course, the right order of them yet. And now we basically got one more we can squeeze in there. And that's that Shade and Shell from Sheely from Velva. And that's not counting John Junt, who is a blood round, but he placed in 20. So he's another one that could be in that mix. And how he did this last weekend might knock somebody out of here pretty quick. So in that situation, we have nobody from Alex. So what I'm going to do just for a second, I'm going to move an 11th person here. And that 11th person is going to be, I can't forget him, is from rugby, because I believe he had a pretty good weekend. And like I said, sometimes this has to go bigger. Control V. And what I will do actually is I'll go here. Actually, what I'll do is go here, and I'm going to go insert. By inserting, I just basically made one more line in here so that I can take and put Alex back in here. Let's sort of that. Okay, there's Junt. Move him back up. Oops. A chance to move that bracket now. Come on. Oh, I don't want to move it. Oh, yeah. Jump from rugby. I think the computer's getting sick of me. There we go. Move that. So now I got room for 11 guys in there. So at least we have an opportunity to now work this down. You notice all of the talent. 138 becomes a pretty solid weight class. You start noticing these. A lot of these are not, there's no slouch of a bracket here. You start noticing all of these extra marks in here, meaning that they were all state placers in the past, except for a couple blood round people, and Noah Harrington trying to find a way as a senior to break into this mix. How crazy is that? That becomes interesting. And that's why, last year, COVID year is kind of odd, because there are a lot of people that didn't get a lot of mat time. So if you put in some extra time in the off season or lifting weights, you name it, you have a great opportunity to step up, because mat time was limited last year. Saw a lot of these guys. Here's one I got in the green here. I think I brought him in already. Delax Burlington. If you look at Delax Burlington, you have Gunnar Reichness. Now, Gunnar Reichness is a returning state placer, but he's up 5 weight classes. I think, if I remember right, he got beat by his own teammate, this Harrison Schwartz. So I have to see what's happening here, and that's why he's in green above here. I usually remove them before I start, because I do not rank 2 people at a weight class. So I have to find out who's the varsity guy. That is one of my main rules. In Class B, I do not rank more than 1. In Class A, I do have a possibility of ranking 2 on a team, because in Class A, that's the lucky thing of them. They get to qualify 3 extra wrestlers, or possibility. They get to send to regions. And so I am just moving over all of the returning placers. There's 3 already right in a row. And I don't know if I should move Gunnar in there or Isaiah Carruth. I noticed that there were 3 Carruths wrestling this last weekend, 2 at the same weight. Whoopsie, I didn't want to move that one. I'll keep doing that. Okay, so I'm going to start winding this down a little bit, I think. Control V, so you guys don't have to watch me doing all this. You can just at least got, a feeling of everything that I'm doing. There's other weight classes. Let's take a quick look at some, just so you know who guys I'd pull out of there. Okay, if you haven't looked at this, of course, Cale Ibach, he's going to get pulled up here at 152, along with Grafton's Alex Ibanez, Gavin Daly. You've got Demetra Anderson. I saw that he lost to somebody in the finals up in Velva or Russell Rulig. Here's kind of one that's a surprise, but up 5 weight classes. The little brother of the state champion, Cale Heibel. He's in the mix there. We'll see what happens. Blaze Rinke, really, he's been wrestling well. I noticed that he got one of the awards for the kind of the rest of the week out of Lisbon. Ethan Hammonds from New Salem. I took third last year at the same weight class again. Jace Nitschke from South Border. Again, some of their younger wrestlers, sophomore, getting a chance for, again, he was a blood round victim last year. So we start looking at that mix. And I know that Cale Kovar, he'll get some victories along the way. Campbell, different Campbell, but I think we can kind of see all those. Okay, let's go over to 160. Pound for pound, the best wrestler in Class B, of course, Bowden Greenlee. He's been dominant since birth. No, I've seen him wrestle a long time and pitting lots of kids. So you can see Connor Andrus is in there. John Gary from that's Hillsborough, Central Valley. Eric Hoffman. There's Bowden Greenlee right there. Again, Ty Wolding. He took second last year at the same weight class. You got Riley Oden, who is a state placer the year before, but it's a blood round victim. He's up 2 weight classes, but he had placed fourth. That's what that is there. Fourth 2 years ago. Baxter Sand from South Border. He's in there. Okay, so we'll look at that one. Let's look at some of the wrestlers at 170 that I'll be ranking. Okay, Anton Carruth there. He's a senior. You got, of course, the state champ. He's a 2-timer, of course. Garrett from Lemoore. Landon, I thought it was Schumacher. It's just Schmacher here. Might have to look up if that's spelled right. Probably I cut and paste from Linton. Somebody's out there can, it should usually probably be a little U in there. Schumacher. I think I cut and paste this from track, so I don't know if it's marked in there wrong, because he could be called Schmacher all year instead of Schumacher. Of course, this is one right here, blood round victim, Levi. He's going to do a lot of damage. Cody Irwin. And he was one of those blood round victims last year. So let's look over at 182. 182, Michael Clifton. Looked very good. In fact, state champ and finalist the year before. Carter Miller, same weight class. I saw that somebody beat Nicholas DeCento. Then Peckus looked really good at times for Hettinger in the Mandan Lions tournament, made the finals against a bunch of Class A, South Dakota and North Dakota wrestlers. Andrew Christensen, Brock Wendell from Lemoore. Now, their upper part, when I looked at the Lemoore roster, I don't know how many guys they got way up on top, but it looked like a ton. It looked like, their offensive line and their football team all came out for wrestling this year. And they have a great football team, you guys know. And Camden Reap, he's a tough wrestler out of Stanley. And we'll have to figure out the other ones that fit in the mix. Silas, does he have a chance? Quick question mark. And that. Okay, then we go up to 195. Connor Harvey's in there. Anthony Houle. You've got Carson Metz from Harvey Wells County, was a finalist last year. Arston Gerbach from Hettinger. Now, this is one I looked for a little while. I didn't see, and then I had to look into there. I had him highlighted, Willison, but I did find him that he does have at least some matches or forfeits or some stuff in there. I have to look again, but he's there at 195. Lettenmeyer from Lemoore, another one of their big boys. Now, this one, he hasn't got any. This one I almost didn't put in there for New Salem. He doesn't have a lot of matches. I don't know if he's a little injured yet or what's happening, but they've had him, I think, get some matches in at heavyweight right now, while their heavyweight is, I believe, getting down to weight yet. And then South Borders, Daniel Schumacher, Trey Bombeck from Stanley. So you got a lot there at 195. At 220, Noah Klausman from EEK was a blood round victim last year. Bowden Hasbrook from Hettinger. Silas Holter from Kenmare Bowbells. Thermalin, that's Coulter from Killdeer. He looked actually good at different times. I saw him, I don't know if he wasn't quite in shape for all the matches, but he looked good at different times for Killdeer. Ashton Peterson has got a great opportunity here. He was in the finals last year. So this weight class could be wide open for somebody to do some damage. That would help South Border a lot. And so I have to figure out who's been wrestling good, because that's definitely not enough. That's about 5 wrestlers to pull up and then find some, maybe Oakson here. That was brother of probably Coy. Coy is going to be in the mix. I don't know how Kate has done. I'm going to have to look that up a little bit. But as you get these bigger weights, some of these guys have had to get experience behind some seniors and some other things. So how the age they are is going to be important also. Looking at 285. Now, Coy Oakson, he's placed in the past, but he's up 2 weight classes. He's going to be a smaller of the heavyweights. Now, Sell, I see, did some victories for Central Cass. Got Rhett Mock from EEK, returning place winner. Ben Roundy, who had a great tournament in Mandan. He did lose a match, but every time he got down, he made a good comeback. Now, looking back at Lisbon, I do have Grant Lyons in there. Okay, I did see that's who's wrestling at heavyweight, and he's one that's probably going to get moved right into the mix with everybody else, because I know they got several heavyweights. Eli Jornstead. Now he of course is a returning place winner from 220 and is up a weight. That could be a guy that has lots of speed, or a lot more speed at 2, might be a smaller one of the heavyweights, but could do some damage if some of these bigger guys don't get down. And so if you notice, count the total number of heavyweights: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Right now, that's like every guy that would qualify for state that's listed there. So if you have a big guy sitting in the hallway, has some athletic ability, you have lots of time. Get that boy out. You have a chance to make it to state with that little amount of heavyweights in the state. Okay. One more last look. Yeah, they say Hooley, they'll be at 182. Coaches moving kids around depending upon the matchups. Olander won at Napoleon at 182. That's good to see. How solid is 220? Well, I tell you what, 220 I think is really wide open. When I look back at that bracket, as I went down here, I was making the first rankings. A lot of these guys, Ashton Peterson was a state finalist. Other than that, some of these other guys, I had Eli in there in the mix. Some of these guys are not even in this weight class. So Coy Oakson all the way up to heavyweight, and like I said, these 2 guys right here, he's out and he hasn't made weight yet. And so if he gets down, he's definitely going to be the favorite. But until then, he's not going to be in the rankings. So I'm sorry, AJ, you deserve to be in there. But then again, I think it's only fair to have the kids that are wrestling right now in there. And then you'll storm right in there and be in the mix, definitely. But definitely 220 when I look at this. If I look at the whole mix, somebody asking that question at 220, you have some that lost in the blood round, so they're ready to place. They're ready to move up the ladder. And then you've got a placer here. Okay, Xylus Holter, he's a placer. And then you've got Ashton Peterson's a placer. So in reality, with that, it's a great question. That 220, is it going to be okay? 220, it's got all the opportunities for wrestlers to move up on the stand there. We had a lot of graduates out of there. And I'll review a lot of the stuff. I went almost an hour 45. I tell you what, 15 people still watching and a lot of people. I will finish up these rankings either late tonight or sometime tomorrow. And then I want to get the A done. I kind of did the spreadsheet for the A's already, but A's, you got 20 wrestlers compared to 50 or 20 teams, and compared to 30 some. So I will get those all done. Maybe I'll do another show. I tell you what, if you guys really like this and how it went, let's go here. I'm in the dark in my basement a little bit. I don't have any lights around the computer. But if you guys like what I'm doing here and setting this stuff up, I will do rankings again and we can make movements. And I'll try to figure out if I can get it back just on Facebook, or if I can figure out how to do it without having my main screen there and having to go back and forth. I know it gets a little annoying, but as you listen, if I could do that, get it set up side by side. Jeremy Kruger, thank you guys for coming on. I tell you what, I'll do a drawing. If any of you guys want to send me your email address, I will send out some free Dakota Grappler digital versions to some people that made comments on here. So anybody that hasn't got it, for sure, I can send out ones to pretty much almost everybody on here that made a comment. Okay. Thank you, Gerhardt, all these people that are getting on. I want to thank everybody. If you like the rankings there, Hefty Holter, thank you very much. I think this is an opportunity for everything. You get to see all the wrestlers out there. Once more tournaments get going, we'll see more matchups. And these matchups, then we can fluctuate these guys. I think that's pretty cool. And all you have to do, let me tell you, I'm going to type in here, Pam, this will be on YouTube also, or you can go back to Dakota Grappler. These will be saved right on there if you missed the beginning. And you can always go back and watch. But I'm going to put down my email address. And pretty easy. john.gums@gmail.com. If you guys just send me a little, just send me a quick email saying, hey, I wouldn't mind the digital version of Dakota Grappler. I will look at that later tonight. And I was going to give 5 away, but that's about how many people were on or more that gave comments. There's more than that. But I think I can pretty much send one out to every person that's on there. And the hard copies, here's the tough part. Now, this supply chain is a true thing. I tell you what, it was done printing almost a month ago. And I was supposed to have it out to everybody and mailed. But what they do at the place, I printed at Image Printing, and they send it to Minneapolis to get perfect bound. And it's usually put in a truck and sent back. Well, they haven't been able to get a truck to get their stuff back for Image Printing. And of last week, I was supposed to have it before the 2nd for sure, but still hadn't come. They were supposed to update me today. They didn't call me. So I'm calling Image Printed tomorrow. They said that they should have it. I almost had to drive to Minneapolis myself to go get this. I'm not sure what company does it, if they'd even told me, because I wouldn't have been very happy. Because I still have been very mad. I've been frown-facing, basically, the guy who's my salesman. And so I'm supposed to have it this week. Now, if I have it before Thursday, I will have copies. I'll bring a bunch of copies with me up to Minot. Now, I know that Century Duels Minot and Turtle Mountain, I believe, in Minot on Thursday night. If not just Minot, I got to double check my schedule. And then I will send some books with my wife to Grand Forks. I have to come back and teach. That's the sad thing about Friday. I only get so many days off a year as a teacher. Imagine this. As a teacher, you get 3 full days off in a year. That's all they give you. And so I have to have one for the state wrestling tournament, which is interesting because we got that Friday off from school. So I have to have Thursday off for sure. And then I have to debate which ones. Now, probably going to do, I might take off the week of a day I have to take a day off for the state South Dakota wrestling tournament. And then I'll take one more day, maybe for one of the other 2-day tournaments that we have. Lucky, look, that's crazy, And I tell you what, teachers, yeah, we have our summers off, but it affects my schedule of going to watch wrestling. But so the biggest thing is I hopefully will have them this week. I have had the companies mail them out in the past, but I don't trust them. I don't trust Image for a second on getting this stuff done because what I'm doing is I'm getting all my mailing stuff already, all my packages with the labels on them. I just have to basically print out shipping labels, which to all the people that pre-ordered the hardcover copies and the places that get them for advertisers, that's several hundred of them. But I tell you what, now, as hundreds and hundreds of those things go out, the better. And I apologize to those people that have not got them also. So definitely, if I get you a digital version and you want it, I will send you one for sure. Those you can actually look through it. And it's a preview of the season. So again, John Gums, Dakota Grappler. I will do this again. Probably, I don't know. I think Sunday nights would work really good. I don't mind Sunday nights or Monday nights. I've got those two open. I do Wednesday shows. So in 2 nights from now, I will have a Dakota Grappler live show. I go with Bill Holton. He's my other co-host. And then the other guest I have is South Dakota SDSU's head wrestling coach, Damian Hahn, which should be a great conversation. And then I'm about, I'd say 70, 80% sure I know the next person on there. It could be Mitch Greenwood. I'd like to really see what's happening on there. And if he can't do it, I have another guy that will hop on there. And it'll probably be somebody from South Dakota, a second person, which would be a coach. Or I can get a couple other people that are kind of on the edge, which I just have to ask them to do it. And we go from there. So everybody, thanks for coming and watching. I will get these rankings done. And guess what? We're going to have a lot of fun looking at them. And don't take it too serious. Now, some of these rankings aren't going to prove anything, but guess what? We can always debate. And it's nice to get recognition for our wrestlers out there. Again, John Gums, Dakota Grappler, you have a great night, people. And I'll have the rankings out soon on Dakota Grappler. Check it out, all the rest on dakotagrappler.com. Go to the message board. You guys can sign up. I put everything out there for free. Okay, now there might be some little ads and stuff out there that does get me a little bit of revenue to pay for the website, all the hosting and traffic that goes through there. They want me to upgrade my hosting. And I tell them, well, guess what? You have to basically, I've got 4 months, a 3-month to 4-month ratio where I get max usage of Dakota Grappler because the wrestling season. And then I got 9 months of when we have downtime in wrestling. So can you just boost me during these 3 months and these other 9 will be down? And I've pretty much made that deal in the past, but it's a different host for me. And so far, so good. I think I got it boosted today for a little bit more money, not a lot, but I had to kick in some to make sure that we keep very good. Okay, basically a host who gives us the bandwidth is what it's called. Okay, if you ever have any questions about wrestling, not that I know all the answers, but I can always do some research if I have the time. You can always email me at that address. Now, I can't guarantee I can always check it all the way during the day. I check one time during my break and once at lunch. And then if I can respond at that time, I will. Then I'll check it again after school, usually about 3:45, 3:30. And then again when I get home. Now, I'm not coaching right now. I do check in on my son if there's an event. Then I'll go to some of those. If there's some local, like sometimes Tuesday nights, there's some duels local around here. And then Thursdays, we have duels. Fridays, Saturdays are tournaments. I'll make updates when I can. I did do the finals of the Mandan Lions tournament this last weekend. I did have a few different cameras. I'm still working some of that stuff out so that I can get you close-ups, because before I have just like a webcam and it keeps a long distance. And sometimes as a fan, you're a long ways, and I can never guarantee internet connection. That's the crazy thing. Now, some gyms have direct connections. Maybe it'll work better, but I think we can just promote wrestling, guys. Okay, again, I want to say have a good night. Promote wrestling, guys. Have a great night.